Scandinavia Peperoncino is a cryptor assigned to the Indian Lost Belt, and his design has a really unique art style. I mean, FGO has a ton of different artists, and each of them has their own unique style. But Pepe's got a charm that's all his own. Turns out, his character design is actually based on Ken Morioka, the late member of the Japanese electronic group Soft Ballet. You can really see the resemblance in their hairstyle and fashion sense. But what makes this connection even cooler is that the titles of Peperoncino's master skills, Hologram Rose, Twist of Love, and Exist, are directly taken from Soft Ballet's song titles. Well, that was an interesting character reference, but I have another one, and I bet you didn't know this one. Gilgamesh is a king known for his arrogance and could even be considered a tyrant during his rule. His design is super iconic, from his prototype design all the way to today, thanks to his full golden plate armor. With a design like that, you might have wondered, why does he wear full golden armor? Well, turns out Nasu himself insisted on it. His reason is because he was repeatedly challenging a certain 60-story tower at the time. This is actually a reference to a classic 1984 arcade game called The Tower of Druaga, released by Namco. The game follows a knight in full golden armor who has to fight through a monster-infested tower to defeat the demon Druaga and save a woman named Kai. And as you might have guessed from all these similarities, the name of the main character in the Tower of Druaga is Gilgamesh, or just Gil for short. And that short name is also Gil's nickname from Enkidu. This is what we're doing today. The Fate series is known for taking famous figures from history and giving them some seriously varied designs. This is especially true in FGO, where each character is drawn by different artists, leading to a huge range of styles. So today we're diving into some of the character design references found in the Fate series. By the way, I actually made a video like this before, but, well, since that was an old video, let's just say the editing and audio weren't exactly great. So don't worry, you don't need to go back and suffer through that one. I'm bringing all those references into this video, plus some brand new ones, so even if you've seen the old one, there's fresh info here for you. Alright, let's get into it. One of the most well-known character design references in Japan is Summer Raiko, especially in her second ascension, where she wears a black sailor outfit. This is a direct reference to Sukaban Deka, a 1985 TV show adapted from a manga about high school girls fighting crime using yo-yos as weapons. Raiko's look is almost identical to the main character's outfit, and to make the reference even clearer, she even uses a yo-yo in one of her attacks. She even outright mentions that she got the look from a TV show she watched. TV show references are cool and all, but the next one is way cooler. At least for me and some of the boys. I mean, who doesn't like robot anime references? I'm talking about Barghest. All of her design is absolutely stunning, and one of the things I love most about her is how each ascension looks completely different from the last. Rather than feeling like an evolution, it's more like she's changing outfits entirely. But the real highlight is her third ascension, where she transforms into Black Dog Barghest form. This form is insanely cool. Her physique, the red lightning aesthetic, everything about it just screams power. On top of that, this badass design is actually inspired by a mecha anime and game. Her look heavily resembles the first dynamic General Guardian unit from Super Robot Wars. You can see it clearly, especially with the shoulder pauldrons, color scheme, and massive sword. When you compare the two side by side, the similarities are impossible to miss. And it doesn't stop there. Her summer variant takes the mecha love even further. In her third ascension, she's carrying a giant gun that's way bigger than she is, and her noble phantasm has her straight up firing it. This form is basically a direct nod to the Hi-Nu Gundam wielding the Hyper Mega Bazooka launcher. Well, you can also see it in the color palette of both Barghest and the Hi-Nu Gundam. They both share the same blue and white color scheme. Now, after seeing Barghest, it makes you wonder, were the other fairy knights also designed with mecha influences in mind? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some inspiration there. Just look at Melusine. Her design is super similar to Gundam Exia. Even her color palette gives off the same vibe. Plus, in her dragon form, she emits tiny particles from her thrusters, which look a lot like the NG particles from Gundam 00. Then there's Baoban Sith, which honestly, I'm not too sure about this one, but a lot of fans say she takes inspiration from Fairlion. Personally though, I'm not fully convinced. Outside of the Fairy Knights, Okita Alter also has some clear mecha anime influences, especially in her summer form. Just look at this. Her design is almost a dead ringer for Vachu from 5-Star Stories. From the sword, the color scheme, and even the shield is a spot-on reference. You know, after seeing how some of these Fate waifus take inspiration from mecha anime, I can't help but start noticing other characters that might have some robotic influences too. Take Odysseus, for example. In his Noble Phantasm, he launches forward while transforming mid-air, just like how Gundams launch in Gundam Seed. It's not just Odysseus. Europa's Talos is straight up giving off major Japanese mecha anime vibes too. The more you look at it, the more it feels like something straight from an old-school anime or a tokusatsu show. And honestly, Talos looks like a fusion of multiple mecha designs, and once you start seeing the connections, you can't unsee them. Well, let's just break it down. First off, Talos' massive arms are way too similar to the Big O's, both in size and how they work for those heavy, dramatic punches. Then there's his face, which really gives off giant robo energy. Though, to be fair, a lot of robot faces just look like serious human faces. So you could argue that's just a coincidence. But his body armor really reminds me of Achilles' gladiator-style armor, especially the helmet. Now, after seeing all that combination, it's like someone took all these elements and thought, yep, this is what an ancient giant robot should look like. Now, of course, mecha-type anime isn't the only classic reference in Fate. There are plenty of nods to retro games too. I already talked about Gilgamesh and his connection to the Tower of Druaga, but there's another servant with a clear Dragon Quest reference. Who else could it be but Elizabeth Bathory, the Saber one? Her outfit is almost certainly inspired by Dragon Quest. She's dressed up just like a female warrior class character from DQ3 onward, complete with a sword and rounded shield. She even has horns, just like the helmets in the game, except in her case, they're literally attached to her head. But her design isn't just a DQ shoutout. It also takes inspiration from female protagonists around the 80s and early 90s, action, fantasy, anime, manga, and video games. This was the golden era of chainmail bikini warriors, like the heroines from Valis, Leda the Fantastic Adventure of Yoko, and Legend of Lemneir, which, funnily enough, all came out around the same time as DQ3's original release. Some characters don't just take inspiration from history or classic media. Some are actually influenced by real-life celebrities. Take Santa Nightingale, for example. Her design and gimmick are heavily inspired by Mary Poppins. She's got the signature umbrella and the magic carpet bag, just like the iconic Nanny. This is super obvious when she uses her Noble Phantasm, where she literally flies with her umbrella while carrying a bag. And then there's Beowulf. His design is straight up inspired by Brad Pitt's portrayal of Tyler Durden in Fight Club, a fact that was actually confirmed by his artist. On top of that, his Noble Phantasm is a rapid-fire barrage of punches, all while yelling, "Aura, aura, aura," just like Star Platinum from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Another fun design reference we've got is Edmond Dantes. His design gets compared to Nagito Komaeda from Danganronpa all the time. I mean, they both have curly white hair, a similar color palette, their theme about hope, and, well, they're both kinda unhinged. Honestly, this comparison isn't surprising at all when you realize that his character art was done by Rui Komatsuzaki, the same artist behind the Danganronpa series. So yeah, they were literally designed by the same person. Still talking about game reference, Summer Tomoe First Ascension has a pretty unique look. She's a saber rocking a VR headset and dual-wielding lightsabers. It's basically a joke reference to Beat Saber, a VR game where you slash through beats with lightsabers, and yeah, the title itself even has saber in it. To top it off, her noble phantasm even gives us a POV shot of her playing it. But let's be real. You guys probably already knew that one. Alright, so we just talked about character design references in FGO. But what about the design of the items and weapons they use? Turns out, some of them also reference various entertainment media. Basically, if earlier we focused on the characters themselves, now we're shifting to the stuff they carry around. One example is the book that Consort Yu is always reading. As Akuta Hinako, she's often seen with this book in her sprite. It makes sense since she's portrayed as a quiet, bookworm-type character. The book's title is The Silent Wolf. Well, it's actually a reference to The Silent Meow, a manual for kittens, strays, and homeless cats. So instead of a book about cats, Akuta is reading a book about dogs. Next up, Saber Astolfo's profile calls his whip sword a Galient sword. The name comes from the weapon used by the Mecha Galient in the anime Panzer World Galient. It's a pretty unique sword, since it can switch between a solid blade and a whip-like form, making it stand out in the mecha genre. Basically, it's a sword that can also be used like a flexible whip. Well, to be honest, the Galient sword has been referenced in other media, especially in video games, as a cool, transforming weapon. And Astolfo's version is just one of many nods to this classic design. Sigurd has some interesting references in his story. This one isn't about a weapon or gadget, but rather the dragon in his legend. He mentions that his version of Fafnir has blue eyes with silver-white scales. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal, especially since we never really get a clear look at Fafnir outside of Fate Apocrypha. But here's where it gets interesting. This description is way different from how Fafnir looks there. Now, if you type that dragon description into the internet, guess what pops up? Blue Eyes White Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the iconic monster dragon of Seto Kaiba. Interestingly, Sigurd's voice actor, Kenjiro Tsuda, also happens to be the VA for Seto Kaiba. This gotta be intentional. So in a way, Sigurd's dragon description actually exists. What do you guys think? I'm planning to cover more references in FGO's story aspects too. Well, maybe even a part 2. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to share the video so more people can see it. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.